Now, international students are set to be slugged with hugely more expensive non-refundable visa application fees as Labor tries to reduce migration levels. Australia already has the second most expensive visa application fees among the major student markets. Applicants pay $710 to apply for a student visa, compared with, say, the equivalent of $345 in New Zealand. Tanya, what do you think about this? Do you think that this is a fair move? We're trying to bring down that rate of migration. Is this the way to do it?
Well, 700,000 students is just way too much. Think about the impact on infrastructure, on housing, on hospitals.
Well, we don't have the infrastructure.
We don't. So you can only think about the impact. But I also think that, look, it's a competitive market. It's a cash cow for universities. They love having international students. It started off with 10%. It grew to 30%. It's 40%. It's something like almost 50% now students. It's extraordinary how many international students hold up universities. And it's really unfair for students. The people I'm thinking of are the students in Australia, domestic students who are paying huge HECS bills.
Yeah, so am I.
They're stuck in paying HECS bills.
So am I.
Still going.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, that's the issue. They're paying HECS.
That is the issue.
But what about, a slight increase in the fee for international students? Most of these international students can afford it, OK? Let's be very honest. They can afford it. They're not coming from poor families. They're actually coming from very wealthy families. So they can afford it.
Not always.
No, they are, because the international fees are huge, OK? What they end up paying. What they actually end up paying the university, not what they pay for the visa application.
But that doesn't mean they're wealthy families. That means they somehow find the money.
But it's not our worry. My worry is the domestic students are having a tough time.
So is mine. So I completely agree with you. I think the fact that we had a great article only a few weeks ago saying that actually the petroleum resources rent tax, for example, that international gas companies pay is half of what our kids are paying on HECS. So if our starting position is that we want the most educated country in the world, that's the only way to future-proof our next generation.
We're making them broke, these kids.
That's exactly
why
right.
they can't get into
So I'm talking university and TAFE. I'm not talking only university. Then that has to be done. My question is, have we defunded universities and then put the load on them to then bring more international students in order to fund our university system? That's a big question for us, and therefore we have to look at that as part of, I think, an overall kind of review of the tax system. But ultimately, our university and our education for kids in Australia should be free. We are a resource-rich country, and it's not right that that's happening. So I agree that we should look at the fees.
We're trying to kill off the resources sector, Craig, in Australia. So we might be rich in resources. We're not tapping into it.
It'd be great if we had free education. That would be.
We should have it, right?
I think that ship sailed. I think that ship sailed.
To have an access to education.